Hi, my name is Mozhdah Jamalzadah, and I play the role of Soraya in Sima's song.
Okay, so tell me a bit about your character. How would you describe her to someone who doesn't know her, let's say?
This character, she lives in 1979, where this film takes place in 1979, and she is a feminist, and she wants to empower women through education. And it's very funny because it's a very similar story to my own, which I, now in 2024, I'm still doing that. So that's how I started music in Afghanistan. The reason that I got into music was because media is a powerful tool, and I wanted to make a change and advocate for women and women's rights through education. So very similar stories.
Okay, good. So you identify with her.
I identify with her on many levels, yes.
Okay, but now I have to ask, because my opinion of her is that maybe she also is a bit naive about how the world works, maybe too idealistic. Okay, so you
I mean, I was so naive that when I was 16, I told my father, I said, I want to become a lawyer and I want to go to Afghanistan and change the laws. Oh. And he laughed. And it was a cute laugh, like, oh, you're cute. But you know what? The thing is that I think naivety actually works in this world, because you're so naive that you actually think something's going to happen, that you can actually bring a change and make a difference. And lo and behold, I've been able to, to a certain extent, I was able to bring some changes, as in I got my own talk show discussing, domestic violence and lots of topics that no Afghan has ever spoken about in public. So naivety works sometimes.
Okay, good. And as I understand, you are now based in Canada, you mentioned? No, in the
yes,
US?
I actually was raised in Vancouver, Canada. I still live there. And I went back to Afghanistan in 2009 to 2013 to host my own talk show.
Okay, and how was it then?
Amazing. I was the best, I think it was the best times in Afghanistan after a very, very long time. It went downhill from there. After 2014, I was forced to leave, and things were not that great anymore.
So is it kind of like traumatic, like playing this role in Iran that is essentially what we see in the film is what happened when you were there and left? It was good, but then it became bad very quickly.
Exactly, yes. And that's why I said, we relate on many levels. That being one of them, that she was eventually, but she never left, but everything, she lost everything. And just in the same way, I lost my talk show and everything that I had worked so hard for, and was forced to leave the second time. So it's very sad seeing that, 1979, this girl named Soraya is advocating for women's rights through education. And then 40, 50 years later, I'm doing the same thing, and nothing has changed. And it's just getting worse than that, because now, at least during her time, there were girls going to school and women were working. And now it's Afghanistan's the only country in the entire world where girls are banned from an education and women are not allowed to work.
And tell me a bit about your character's relationship with her best friend. They don't agree in anything, but at the same time they love each other too much, right?
Yes, and I have some best friends as well, where we clash on so many levels, but we love each other. And that's the great thing about civilization and humanity, is that you can have completely different ideologies and still love each other. The Sima and Soraya's ideologies clash big time. They are best friends and they genuinely love each other. And you could even see in the film that the support goes to the point where they even risk their own lives for each other.
And tell me about the scene that you fight. Okay, you have very different opinions, but you keep it very civilized at the same time. Was it difficult? I mean, I would yell to the other person in your stead, I think.
Soraya got quite mad. Sima seems like the more, the calmer one between the two, which is nice, because my own personality is very much Soraya's personality, and Sima's personality is very much Niloufar's personality. So we played that very well, where I did get angry, and Soraya got angry, and Sima was able to hold the fort and calm things down every time Soraya got upset. So it was a nice little interaction.
And tell me, how was working with Roya?
Well, I do have to say that Roya is one of the most amazing human beings and one of the most, possibly the best director. And the thing about Roya is during the first Taliban occupation, she was forced to stay home, just as many girls, or like millions of girls are today. And she was able to teach herself how to direct through cinema books and film books that her father had at home. So to see that, to see how far she's come and become renowned on an international level and get recognized on an international level, it gives me hope for the future of Afghan girls. And I think that she is the voice of Afghan women, and through this film, she's amplifying the voices of countless voiceless women right now. So it's a very crucial time for this film to be released, and what she's doing for Afghan women, I think it's the most powerful thing.
And in general, does she allow improvisation, or is she very strict with what you do during shooting?
No, she actually does ask us to improvise, and I love that she allows us to do what feels right to us. So she says, acting is an art, so you do what feels right to you. She does, of course, she directs, and I need assistance because I'm new to this industry. And I appreciate that she gave me a chance in this film, and she trusted me to play the role well. But at the same time, I needed her assistance a lot, and she was the most amazing director, telling me, how to do certain things, but allowing me to do my own thing as well.
And which one was the most difficult scene to shoot, and which is your favorite, let's say?
I think that my favorite scene was definitely Soraya and Sima's little clash. That was a couple of pages long, and we spent a lot of time doing that. And then there was, and of course, feeding off each other and just being able to spend time together like that, reciting poetry in Farsi. That was all new to me because my Farsi is not that good, and so it was a big challenge. I love challenges. The worst scene was. What can I say? In the jail, when Soraya sees Sima laying there, and she runs to her. I think that was the most difficult. And because we were actually best friends in real life, when I saw Niloufar lying there, it affected me to the point where, by that time, I was actually upset. I don't think it was too much acting on my part. When I saw her like that, it was traumatic. And I could say that some of those tears were very real.
Okay. And so the film has already screened in Tokyo, now in the Red Sea. So what is the reaction of the audience to the film in general, would you say?
In Tokyo, I was very surprised. The reaction was amazing. I remember afterwards, after the screening, we walked into a sushi bar, me and Niloufar, and all the chefs were standing there, and we're like, "Hello, chefs," and they're like, "Sima's song," and we're like, "How did you know?" So by the time, like a few days after the screening, we were walking around everywhere around that area, and people were pointing at us and yelling out Sima's song and asking for autographs. So I think a lot of people went to watch it, and a lot of people were discussing it. And I think very similarly here, I heard that in this area as well, like a lot of anyone that I interact with, they say they've watched the film and that it's very good. So it's very surprising. I wasn't expecting that.
And tell me, how is it being an actress nowadays? Like the whole experience, is it worth it? I don't know, too hard, too easy? How is it?
Well, I could definitely say that I love it so much more than music. I think with music, I forced myself to get into music for different reasons, to become a voice for women who don't have voices. But I think that through that, I found my passion, and my passion is acting. So I absolutely love being on set.
Okay. And tell me, what will you be working on next? Any future projects planned?
Yes, I'll be working on a couple of projects with a very prominent Canadian director and documentary filmmaker, Brishkai Ahmed. She's also an Afghan Canadian. She's very successful in Canada, and we are going to be working on a series called The Clinic. Again, it's a very woman empowering series, and then she also has a film coming up, where she is casting me the lead for both. So hopefully we will be starting both of those soon.
Okay, and difficult question, but are you optimistic about Afghanistan or pessimistic? What do you think happen in the future? Is it done? I don't know what to say.
I actually had thought that the world would not allow what happened in Afghanistan to happen. And it took me a very long time to accept that the world just sat there and watched this happen to millions of girls and women, and to see half a population of an entire country become imprisoned once again. So it's really hard for me to be optimistic. And as I'm speaking right now, I'm getting emotional again, because I had gone through a lot of heartache knowing that the world abandoned these women and girls and allowed this to happen. So I am naturally an optimistic person. This is the first time that I don't feel optimistic for the future of Afghan girls.
And because, we see history repeating itself, let's say from what's happening in the movie to what is happening now, but why so much trouble in this country? Why does history repeat so much in such a bad way?
I think it's the people themselves, and I don't mean to be harsh, but I've thought about it a lot, and I've realized that if you watch this film, even during the Soviet invasion, the Soviets are like, what are these people doing? You know, anyone who takes a leadership role starts creating conflict. And I think that living in Afghanistan, I also saw that as wonderful as the people are, at the same time, I did not see too many men stand up for women in this situation. Another thing that I've noticed is that everyone's saying, okay, the Taliban do not allow women and girls to get an education. But when I see the Afghan men abroad, the majority of them have also put a lot of restrictions on the women in their families. And that tells me that the problem stems from the men's ideologies themselves. So in order for this country to change, the men in this country have to change their way of thinking and their ideologies and their mentality. And they have to start thinking like the rest of the world, because now that I'm in Saudi, there is not another country that is more Muslim than the men in Saudi, and I have never met more respectful men anywhere in the world than the men in Saudi towards women. So yeah, women here, they cover up, and I would gladly cover up, and just show my eyes if I was able to in Afghanistan. Go get an education, get out and be part of society and actually work. Mm-hmm. So what they're describing as an Islamic way of thinking, it's not Islamic. It's actually an ethnic. It's more of a tribal mentality of the actual Afghan culture, and I'm not pinpointing a particular ethnicity. I'm pinpointing the average male mentality in Afghanistan as a whole, in general. Where it's more of a Afghan culture mentality than anything else. So I would like to ask them to stop putting the name of religion on here, because now that I'm in Saudi, I see that there are more women here working. When I go to the shopping mall, I see I went to change my SIM card. There were 4 women working, not 1 man. And when I went into another store, the men got up from their chairs and said, please sit down. Mm-hmm. Everywhere I go, I see respect between the men and women, and this is very important.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you think cinema can make a difference?
Absolutely, yes. I think that this film in particular, I've actually seen, I can't wait for Afghan people to see this, and I want them to see that from 1979 there hasn't been any positive change. There has only been negative, more and more negative situations in Afghanistan. So I'm hoping that they realize, once they see this, they realize that the problem is Afghan people, to stop pointing fingers outside of our own little cocoon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But now, is there cinema in Afghanistan? During the Taliban era, was there like movies being shot, or are they shot now? Or
I heard that they're starting to support cinema, and I'm not sure. I can't say for sure, but I've heard certain things. I just, for me, I don't care what they support. I just want them to release Afghan women and girls. I want them to open the school doors again for Afghan girls. I don't care who rules Afghanistan. It could be the Taliban. I will accept them. They need to accept women. And I think that this has nothing to do with religion. This is a war against women. This is a war on Afghan women, and this is wrong.
Well, I guess that's it.
Sorry, I'm so
Thank you
angry. I
very
get
much.
so angry about